Cars 2 the video game is a special game to me. It was the very first video game I ever played back in 2014, and it's also the only game that I've ever 100%ed. I have many fond memories of the game, and even 11 years later, I still like it. You may be worried that because of my nostalgia, I'm gonna praise it to high heavens, but rest assured, I do have my critiques. You're probably wondering, why aren't you covering Race-O-Rama? Isn't that the next Cars game after Meta National? You'd be right, and I should be covering that now, but I can't. This is why.
You're called lightning? I know, sometimes I create feelings in others that they themselves don't understand.
You see, my computer isn't powerful enough to emulate the 360 or PS3 versions, and I can't emulate the Wii or PS2 versions at full speed. And, unfortunately, no PC version was ever released. So, the Race-O-Rama video is indefinitely postponed until I can get a more powerful computer. All you need to know about Race-O-Rama, at least for the purpose of this video, is that it's another Cars game in the style of Cars 1 and Meta National. Cars 2 forgoes the open world, more story-driven structure of the first three games, and instead follows a level-by-level structure. There's no open world to explore, just a menu. There are hardly any cutscenes at all, and only 2 have any amount of importance. There are about 4 or 5 cutscenes shown before select missions, and they mean nothing. They just exist to contextualize why you're racing, but I question why these exist when most of the missions don't have these cutscenes. As you can guess, the story is non-existent. After the events of the Cars 2 movie, Lightning, Mater, and Francesco are hanging around Chrome headquarters and using the hologram technology to go on virtual missions. Mater also decides to let in a bunch of the Radiator Springs cars and World Grand Prix racers to explain why you can play as so many characters. The game looks fine. Many people really hate the Wii and PC versions for their graphics, but personally, I like both the Wii and 360 graphics. The 360 version looks better, with better lighting, textures, models, reflections, pretty much everything looks better. The Wii version, meanwhile, goes to more of a cel-shaded art style. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but that's what it reminds me of. Models and lighting are more simplistic, the textures are of a lower resolution, reflections don't exist, the game looks worse in every sense of the word. However, I don't think it's bad. It has a charm to it, and I could honestly play with either style. The gameplay of Cars 2 is much different compared to the previous 3 games. The controls have been remapped, with Accelerate on RT, Jump on A, which marks the first time jump has been mapped to a button, Boost on X, and Drifting has replaced Power Sliding and is on B. The boosting mechanic has also changed. In previous games, you have a singular meter and you can expend it however you wish. You can wait until the bar is full to use it all at once, or you can wait until it's half full and use it in short bursts. This has been changed in Cars 2. Now you have a bar that's split into 4 sections. Once one of the sections is full, it'll change from blue to yellow. When you boost, one section will be used, and when all 4 sections are full, tapping X twice will expend your entire boost meter, and you'll be in the zone. When you're in the zone, you'll drive faster than normal, for longer than normal, and you'll be invincible, at least until something hits you. Tricks have also been added. When you're in the air, you can tilt the right analog stick in one of the 4 cardinal directions, and you'll do a trick. When you land, you'll gain some boost. The more tricks you do in the air, the more boost you'll gain when you land. Backwards and 2-wheel driving have also been given real uses now. Previously, backwards driving has had no use beyond looking cool. 2-wheel driving had limited use in the first game's Piston Cup races, as I used it to take sharp turns since power sliding was unusable. Now, backwards and 2-wheel driving have real uses, as you can gain boost when using them. Drifting has also changed. Previously, you just held the power slide button and hoped for the best, as you might not have turned as sharply as you wanted. Now, drifting functions more like it does in Mario Kart. You hold down the B button when turning, and then you start turning sharply in the direction you were holding when you started drifting. If you turn the stick in the direction you're drifting in, you turn even sharper. If you turn the stick opposite the direction you're drifting in, you back off a bit to allow yourself some more space away from the corner. Drifting also allows you to gain boost, just like Mario Kart's Mini Turbo. To add to this, there are markers on the track that will enable you to gain even more boost if you drift on them. This also applies to two-wheel driving, as you can gain even more boost when driving through these markers when two-wheel driving. Overall, I like both styles of play. The Cars 1 mechanics work well for those smaller road races, where the Cars 2 mechanics work well with these bigger, more kart racer-like tracks. However, I think Cars 2's playstyle will always win me over, probably because I just like kart racers. There are now more types of events. Previously, there were just road races, minigames, and then Piston Cup races, stadium races, or something of that nature. Now, there are 7 types of events, 2 of which are multiplayer exclusive. Races are just regular old races, go around the track 3 times. Battle races are just like regular races, but weapons are added to the track just like Mario Kart items. Heck, the Red Shell, Blue Shell, and Shock all have equivalents in the Skate Jack, Satellite Blitz, and Pulse Leech. Sometimes these weapons can be annoying, but I'm usually too far ahead for them to matter. Attack is similar to race, but instead of racing, you have to destroy the lemons that appear ahead of you. You have a time limit, but destroying lemons will increase the timer. There are also 2 lemons that hurt you. Lemons with a yellow marker will use an energy leech when defeated, and lemons with a red marker will turn around and fire at you. Survival is also similar to race, but instead of racing, you collect purple batteries to replenish your shield energy. If your shield loses energy, you lose. This mode used to be the bane of my existence when I was younger, as I couldn't align myself with batteries well. Nowadays though, I can do it easily, and I like it a lot more now. Hunter is interesting, as you're in an arena and you have to destroy lemons that come in 5 waves. There are 5 lemons to defeat in Hunter mode: green Hugos that do nothing, purple gremlins that fire rockets at you, red gremlins that ram into you, and Greminacer make an appearance. They use the same weapons you can, and they also fire at you. They are also worth the most points. It's also really funny that even in the final Hunter mission, you can get all the points you need during the first 2 waves, and then set out the final 3. Then, we have the 2 multiplayer modes, Disruptor and Arena. In Disruptor, both players have a base, and you both have to grab the Disruptor. When you grab it, bring it over to your enemy's base, and your enemy's base will begin to crumble. Eventually, when one player gains a lead, the other player's base will get 2 stationary robots that fire at the opposing player. And in Arena mode, you and another player keep on firing at and killing each other. Simple. Overall, I like both of these modes, I just really wish I could play them. You see, nobody I know wants to play these modes with me, and you need a second player to play these 2 modes. You can't even go against the CPU, you need a second player. That's why player 2 has been stationary this whole time, because it's just me playing. Instead of having an actual story to guide the player, we just traverse the menu to get to the Chrome missions. There are 7 levels of the Chrome mission, training and then levels 1 through 6. In levels 1 through 6 there are 5 missions, and then you get a final Hunter mission. You unlock the clearance levels by getting points, and you get points by placing Hylian missions and collecting point boxes in each track and arena. I was unlocking clearance levels pretty fast, to the point where I unlocked clearance level 6 while I was only halfway done with clearance level 3. That's a problem with this game, it's very easy. Only the final few missions have a challenge, as I was blazing through each mission getting a gold trophy very easily. Speaking of problems I have with this game, let's get to the port job. As stated previously, the graphics are the Wii version, but the game got a fine enough PC port. As expected, D-input prompts are still shown for some freaking reason, but there is a mod to replace these icons with the Xbox 360 prompts. The game also has its fair share of glitches. One glitch is when the audio keeps cutting itself off. The music will continue to repeat only a little bit of itself, and sometimes character voice lines do the same. I then restart the event, and the music just disappears. All that's left is the sound effects. Then, when you exit the event, then the game just crashes. According to PC Gaming Wiki, this is due to a threading issue with the CPU. Thankfully, this is a pretty simple fix. use Task Manager to force the game to utilize only one CPU core. Interestingly, HD version had DLC characters. Most of these characters were just alternate colors, like Lightyear Lightning, but there were some new characters, like the Queen, Rodrock Redline, the Tuners, and some Radiator Springs characters. When I was a kid, I thought these DLC racers were really cool, but because my PS3 was never connected to the internet, for some reason I still don't know, I was never able to play as these characters. These DLC characters were never added to the Steam version, but thanks to mods, these characters have been added to the PC version. Huge thank you to Callum273B for creating this mod, and finally letting me play as these characters. And that's all I have to say on the main version of Cars 2. It's a really good game, but its story is non-existent, and the PC version doesn't look nearly as good as its 360 counterpart. I'd give the game a 7 out of 10, and I'd most certainly play it again. However, there were two other versions of Cars 2, one on the PSP and one on the 3DS, and I'd like to tackle those versions next. The 3DS version is pretty different from the main console version. There are two types of events in the 3DS version, spy missions and races. In spy missions, you play as Finn, Mater, or Holly, going around and completing an objective under a time limit or avoiding detection. So, basically, a Metal Gear Cars. The races are self-explanatory. Go around a track 3 times. The controls aren't great though. The cars accelerate too fast and they turn too sharply. Thus, you'll be crashing into walls all the time. Overall, I like this version, but I prefer the main console version. The spy missions are the only thing that this version has going for it, and if I wanted to race, I'd boot up the PC version. Then, there's the PSP version. This one is the most similar to the console version, as it even uses the exact same menu and structure. The gameplay is very different, however. Each track has 4 lanes, and you switch between lanes to get boost pickups or avoid obstacles. The boost meter also has 2 different functions, to boost, just like the main version, and as a shield that makes you invincible. I never used the shield besides the one time it was mandatory, and I always reserved my boost until you could go in the zone, as you got both the speed boost and shield when you went in the zone. Also, interestingly enough, Rodrock Redline is in this version, interesting as he wasn't a part of the main version unless you bought the DLC. There's also an iOS version of Cars 2, but it's become lost media once it was delisted, and looking at the gameplay, yeah, I don't think we lost much. But that's about all I have to say on Cars 2 the video game. The iOS version sucks, the PSP version is very similar to the console version, and the 3DS version has some cool spy missions, and the home console version is the best, with the most content and the best controls. Overall, I really like Cars 2, and it's one of my favorite racing games. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me what you thought about this game, and if you had any fond memories of it.